Basically, air pumps through the system when it goes above 21 and cools the air down. So this is a cooling system in the summertime and it stores heat. When the temperature goes below 12, the fan turns back on and it turns on. So you don't actually need fresh air in the greenhouse, you need CO2. These pipes in here are perforated. And so as soil decomposes, it produces ethylene and CO2. So you actually are pulling CO2 back in. Yep. And because it's perforated, your air up here is warm and humid. So the warm and humid air moves through these pipes. As it cools down, you get condensation. Condensation, yep, and it releases heat. So whenever you condense water, energy goes into the ground. Okay? Whenever you evaporate water, energy gets pulled from the ground. So when the air is cold and dry, and we pull it through, it gets humidified and warmed, so it creates evaporation, pulls heat from the ground, and keeps the space warm. So this is a far more effective thermal mass than a rocket mass heater.
What type of material are you?
This would be like,
For your mass?
a lot of people use things like, well, this is soil.
It's got to be well drained, right? So
It's-
is it gravels and...
No, we use soil, because I want all of my roots to go through here.
Native soil.
Just whatever, like combination
so
of
you're-
subsoil and topsoil.
You're planted directly in the ground.
Directly
Okay.
in there.
Okay.
There's no concrete or anything in these greenhouses.
Is that
Yeah.
pipe outside the greenhouse?
No, that's inside. It's the top part. And then there's also going to be a ventilation unit at the top, or sort of automatic ventilation panes. So whenever this goes,
Like a baffle or something?
it's just a window on a hinge.
Mid-shape convection.
Oh, okay.
And so when it gets too hot, these suckers open up and you get a natural ventilation moving through there. So when it goes beyond about, because plants stop photosynthesizing at about 25 degrees Celsius. So we want to keep it below that, which is why we've got two mechanisms.
systems.
And then I'd like to put blowout doors onto my greenhouse as well, like ones that are not on hinges, so that I can pull it out and I can put a tank in there. So if somebody does want to do aquaponics, now we can have a way down the road to get big tanks into there, or if we've got a hot tub, we can move a hot tub in and move it out. So I love the Chofu hot tub system, and you can DIY this. You don't need to buy the Chofu system, but it's just basically a wood-fired hot tub with a little thermosiphon, smokestack. Wood goes in. You steep yourself in there, and once the water gets dirty, use hydrogen peroxide to sterilize it, which will naturally break down, so you don't need chlorine. This acts as a thermal mass. When it gets too dirty and you want to change the water, you use it for gray water in the greenhouse, and then you recharge it with new rainwater. So in our new system, we have one more iteration from this. So we have So this is the root cellar down here, and this is all got overburden on it. Okay, so that's got soil, so it's mostly buried on that side. And in the root cellar, I actually didn't draw it very well, but we've got earth tubes. Somebody mentioned earth tubes.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have an air intake with a screen. These earth tubes will feed into the bottom of this root cellar. So basically at minus 30, the air will come through here, preheat to about 0 to 4 degrees Celsius into the root cellar. So all winter long, we've got preheated air moving into the root cellar.
Can I interrupt? What kind of length are we talking about?
We optimize that with a thermodynamic modeling software, but the rule of thumb is about 100 feet. But it'll depend on the diameter and there's tons of factors in there, but generally you stop gaining heat after about 100 feet as a rule of thumb. So this will create permafrost all winter long, and then we have pipes at the top here, which are going to, as we pressurize this room with this root cellar air, we will slowly move the stale air up to the top, which has got any of the toxic gases that can accumulate in root cellars. It'll move into this greenhouse, which is where plants want those gases. And even at 4 degrees Celsius, it's still heat. Okay, and it's minus 30 outside. In the summertime, which is the main other reason for this root cellar, this gets all iced up with all that air moving through there. And so then we can take plus 20 air and move it through there, pre-chill it, and now I have an earth fridge.
Yep.
And then this cool air is also a nice...
So you move a frost line here?
Ideally, yeah. Ideally, yep. So now this is actually a chilling device for this greenhouse in the wintertime.
Without the compressor.
And then this is our commercial canning kitchen. There's a big breakout window right there with a gas stove. So we can do pressure canning and all sorts of stuff. We've got beautiful wraparound kitchen. So food can come either through the doorway or through this window right here. Steam comes out this way, so we're not putting it into my passive house. And then canned food goes down into here. And then there's a staircase on the other side which goes back out to the house. The other thing I put in was a meat rail in here for hanging up his game. So.
So this was the one you showed?
Yeah, and then, so just with these here, these vents, you always want to have a knee wall here so that any snow that comes off here can accumulate down here. The knee wall is also really important, so the knee wall plus the height of this should be at minimum, minus the trusses. You shouldn't hit your head on those trusses, so that's like a minimum dimension on the south side of that greenhouse. Yeah.
So what if, could you put this, basically embed this into a bank? So if you're at a
Yep.
hill, you could embed
Totally.
the three walls and then just have the
It's just a walkout basement then. And we just use ICF,
ICF blocks on the side?
something like that, yep. And then the other thing that we're doing for this greenhouse, so we're gonna have an ICF foundation.
What about concrete?
Yeah, if you have access to it and it makes sense.
You're talking about growing.
You know what gabions are?
Gabions?
Yeah, gabions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna put gabions up all the way on the inside walls of the greenhouse, and then fill them up with rocks. So now instead of having that rocket mass heater taking up all that growing space, now we've got this distributed thermal mass, which looks stunning.
It's like a drone wall?
Yeah, basically, but with like river rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so all of our walls will basically be these heat collection surfaces as the sun hits them, which will, so now I've got this thermal mass plus our walls, and I don't have to use some sort of toxic building material to clad my walls. I'll just use stone.
You basically like all surfaces of the
All
walls, or
three.
just the back?
Three of them. You could just do the back. You could just do part of the back. You could do the whole back. It's pretty heavy.
Yeah.
So you'll have to put piles into the ground to support it. But
Helical piles?
just even like sonotubes. Yeah, that'd be fine with like big feet underneath them.
Would there be any benefit in this design to including a solar chimney to drive this engine here?
Well, we basically have a solar chimney, so we will experiment with that. When this opens up, we could actually just close this
Yeah.
and see if we get enough draw to actually drive the whole system. Totally. Yep, that makes sense.
I'm interested in increasing the efficiencies of glazing. Like it's